I'm George Quinn, and I would like to introduce the young lady next to me. Her name is Ruth Downey. She's been a registered nurse for approximately 28 years. Her experience has been in the critical care area for the past 12 years and in the ER area down in the wonderful emergency area. She is working currently towards her master's on forensic nursing. She has known me for a period of time and has watched me go through the various levels of what my disease has done to me. My disease had taken me down the tube to the point that I was barely able to walk. I was barely able to get out of bed to go to the restroom. I was having passing out problems. I was having multiple heart attacks, and pretty much was put into a 90-day warning by my doctor that that's all I had left to live. Now that is about 5 years ago, 4 years ago. I'm still here. Here recently though, about 5 months ago, I started having the passing out problems again and a lack of being able to breathe. I've been on oxygen now for a period of time, 7 days a week and 24 hours a day. Now they've been wanting to up my oxygen levels, but I chose to take it with a new device that I've created or invented. It's called a Breathe Easy unit. Through this unit and by the use of it, I have been able to stabilize my oxygen and my CO2 level. While I'm getting prepared to use it, I'm going to be moving a little so I lose some of my air, because I breathe through my diaphragm, and by bending over I get a lot of air out, and it'll bring me down to the level that I'll be needing fresh oxygen. Now, if I can have Ruth talk to you while I'm doing this, it will bring you into an area where you'll understand what it is I'm trying to do. I'm squeezing out the last of the air that I have down here, and when I'm finished I'll be out of breath, and you'll see it in my face, and then I'll begin to use the Breathe Easy unit device here to make it come back.
We had George do this similar type procedure that he's doing now to get out of breath in the hospital during a pulmonary function test. And he is just going to bend over, and he has very little lung capacity, so it doesn't take much for George to lose his oxygen. But it's similar to what happened in the hospital when we had a pulse oximeter on his finger that gave us a number of the percentage of oxygen saturation in his bloodstream. You and I have about 97 to 99%. George normally runs about 91%. And in the hospital with this on his finger, he just walked a short distance and became very winded. And his oxygen level dropped to 77%. His knees became weak, and he was having a very difficult time breathing. And
I'm going to interrupt for 1 second. I'm out of breath, and I'm going to need some air. So here is the use of the device and what it'll do for me. You'll be able to tell the difference, I think, when I'm through using it.
And what George does with this device when he gets winded is he puts it between his lips, and he has a specific way of how he's able to find that he can gain his oxygen saturation back up to his normal level. And what he does is breathes in through his nose, through the oxygen cannula, deeply, and then he very gently and steadily, with steady pressure, blows out of the Breathe Easy. This gives him enough resistance so that he's able to empty quite a bit of carbon dioxide out of his lungs. He can then in turn breathe very deeply through his nose in the oxygen. And he does this for a series of times until he feels like he is on top of things, and he feels like he is gaining ground as far as his oxygen levels. And once he's able to do that, then he can just relax and breathe easy and steadily through his nose, breathing in the oxygen, and his levels come up. And during our hospital visit, when we had the oxygen saturation on his finger, it only took him 2 minutes to get from 77% saturation all the way up to his baseline, which was 91%. And he was able to do it quickly with the Breathe Easy. How do you feel?
I hate to admit it, but I feel great. We've said this before, and I have just mentioned before we put this on tape that I've said these things several times. When I invented this was on a day that I literally had collapsed on the floor. I was not able to hardly move. I did pull myself over to a sofa, and I figured out I had a blockage somewhere in my system. Under COPD, they have a phrase now I've learned from my doctor, it's called peak. I have disease, everybody with emphysema, excuse me, with cystic fibrosis, with any of the fibrosis problems, which I currently have, when we try to breathe, and bronchitis is another one in the COPD disease area, we capture air. We can't get it out. We have now burned out certain spots in our body that used to convert CO2 to oxygen. That's the reason I am on oxygen all the time. I smoked for 50 years, which is not a good thing, but it had taken and restricted my performance to where I was very lucky to get up out of my bed, walk to the restroom, and walk over to a sofa I have in my room here at my daughter's home, and I would sit there the rest of the day. If the phone rang, I was able to talk on that phone for maybe 1 minute if I was lucky. Even my family would call to say something to me, and I'd have to excuse myself and get off the phone. I was out of air. I think you'll notice while we're doing this taping, I used my Breathe Easy unit, which I'm still showing off a little. I'm capable of sitting here and talking to you now. I'm capable of leaving the basement where I have my apartment here in this house, walking up the steps. In fact, I left a chair on the middle of the steps coming up because I used to have to stop and wait and rest for 15 minutes and take in oxygen before I could complete the walk up. I can now go outside onto the porch and enjoy it. I throw the ball for the dogs. I can go out the front porch and wave at the neighbors. I get into an electric wheelchair and I can wheel around in that thing with oxygen attached to the back. I'm alive again. I've increased the quality of my life tremendously. So I know that I have something that is needed. I know that there's a lot of people out there with COPD diseases that this can help. The Breathe Easy unit is a wonderful unit to use. So here's hoping that those of you need it will be able to get a hold of it.